you want to do something extraordinary, you have one job. Leave your fellow humans in awe.
You probably don't think of your life in this manner, but I now invite you to think of your life in this manner. Your entire life has been nothing but an attempt to exert control over some part of your internal or external environment. You do not have control, you never had control, you never will have control. You only have the illusion of control.
The thing that I find most interesting and the thing that I think a lot about is who are we sort of at our core? What are we? Are we changeable? Are we malleable? The whole nature versus nurture thing has really come to define my life. It doesn't matter who you are today. It certainly doesn't matter how you were born. The only thing that matters is who you want to become and the price you're willing to pay to get there.
Legacy is planting seeds in a garden that you'll never see. The capacity to strengthen and increase your hunger is the one common denominator amongst the most successful people. Richard Branson's a good friend of mine, and Peter Guber, Steve Wynn, all these guys, they've never lost their hunger. Most people are hungry to achieve a certain amount, make a certain amount of money, and then they get comfortable and relax, or to get a certain level of fitness, and then they relax. Hunger is the ultimate driver, because if you're hungry, you can get the strategy, you can get the answer. If you can't model it, you can find it.
I would lay in bed for up to 4 hours a day, every single day, because I couldn't motivate myself to get out of bed. I didn't have a job, and the only thing that would get me out of bed, 15 years before I'm capable of building a billion-dollar company, the only thing that got me out of bed was shame, because I had one failed misunderstanding. I believed that my talent and intelligence were fixed traits. Because what's happening in the mind seems invisible. We can't see it. We don't understand what's happening. And so as shame was the only thing that would drag me out of bed, I didn't understand that the same thing I believed to be true of my body was true of my mind. What you build your self-esteem around matters.
So what I want you to realize is thoughts are invisible waves. When you turn on TV, it takes invisible waves, and depending on the channel, you're gonna see a love story or an adventure or a drama or a comedy. So what I've tried to do in this Airy Beautiful State is simple. You start to feel the stress, you see it as thoughts going by, and then you focus on something to appreciate, enjoy, or love. Appreciation, love, and joy destroy suffering. You can't be grateful and angry simultaneously. It's possible. You can't be worried and fearful and grateful simultaneously. So I tell people gratitude is one of the emotions to cultivate that'll destroy the suffering.
Stop trying to control your life. You can't do it. Think instead in terms of controlling the experience of your life. A lot of the time in your life, you have the ability to decide what you are going to experience. Mental chatter is an internal monologue that you have going on in your heads all the time. It begins right up when you get up in the morning, is with you throughout the day. Mental chatter has always been a part of your life. Most of the time we try to ignore it, we suppress it, we work around it, we try to live our life as best we can in spite of our mental chatter. That is a huge mistake. And the reason it's a huge mistake is because we build our lives with our mental chatter. We create the world that we live in with our mental chatter. We all think we live in a real world, but we don't. We live in a construct. We live in the matrix.
And whether you realize it or not, each and every one of you has something that sits at the core of how you feel about yourself. And from that, your identity, your sense of self-worth, your self-esteem, it is all built around that thing. Now, when you think about my job as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as an athlete, as a speaker, as a whatever you want to be, you've got to get so good at that thing that when people see you do it, you make them experience the most potent human emotion, and that is awe. To get that good is a terrifying journey of self-discovery and confronting who you really are. Because you cannot make change until you acknowledge where you're actually at.
The most important decision of your life is deciding whether you're truly committed to being happy no matter what. Because life is going to throw all kinds of curveballs at all of us. There's the one thing that's in common in this lifetime is extreme stress. But it's just true. Someone you're going to care about is going to die. Someone's going to take advantage financially if you're not careful. You're going to find yourself in a position the government might change the rules and you can't do what you're doing before. Somebody call, like I've gotten a call saying you got a tumor in your brain. Those days alter you. So the greatest gift you could give yourself, besides making this life about love and making this life about giving, because to give you have to keep growing, is, I believe, to make that decision and say life is too short to suffer.
We are all very good at shooting second arrows at ourselves. How many times have you laid yourself low? How many times have you berated yourself for taking some damn fool action in retrospect? How many times have you compared yourself unfavorably with someone else? We don't just shoot second arrows, we shoot third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh arrows at ourselves. The important thing for you to note is the second arrow is always delivered by means of mental chatter. What you don't recognize is the stuff that you believe, which you have not subjected to the same scrutiny, is equally false. And that too will crumple. So the question to ask yourself is not, is this true or false, right or wrong, good or bad? The question to ask yourself is, does this model work for me in my life now better than what I am currently using?
You get to build yourself in any direction you want, in any way, to become anything you want. There will be an extraordinary price to pay, but you can go in any direction. Now, I don't think that we're born blank slates, but we are so close to that. To worry about where your limits are is to miss how much you can improve. So focus on how much you can improve. There's an amazing quote by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the author of the Gulag Archipelago. And what he said was, the line between good and evil runs through every human heart. The most important decision any human being has to make is whether they live in a friendly or a hostile universe. Decision. The most important decision anyone has to make, because neither of those two states is empirically true, but either will immediately appear true once you decide to believe it.
That the secret to life is to get outside yourself and find the way to add value to others. There's nothing that's more fulfilling than doing something beyond yourself. I think one of the things that makes me proud to be a human being is human beings will do more for others that they care about than they'll ever do for themselves. And when you tap into that, you have more energy than anybody else, you have more joy, you have more excitement, because, as I always say, life supports whatever supports life. Motive matters. The idea of being obsessed with learning, growing, and adding value, to me, is the most important thing in life, because, the only way we're happy is by making progress. We grow and we feel alive. We give and we feel 10 times more alive. But you got to grow to have something to give.
Brick by brick, day after day, I transformed myself. It was not an uncovering of something that was real and already there. It was simply acknowledging I am a hopelessly average human, but humans are the ultimate adaptation machine. So I can change. I can become whatever I want. And I just became single-mindedly focused on how much I could grow. And now that I was getting value and self-esteem out of growing instead of out of being, everything in my life changed. Because if you want to do something extraordinary, you have one job: leave your fellow humans in awe.